And we can start this meeting. This is the December Illinois Change Control Board. Thanks for you guys joining. On the agenda, I've made some updates to the agenda since I sent it out yesterday. We've got a couple more work items and stuff like that. I do have on here, welcome St. Clair County. They are not on this call now, but they will be on the next one. They go live in 2 weeks from now. So here is the updated items that we're going to be working on this month. The one that I had sent yesterday was missing quite a few. That being said, I'm going to jump straight into the discussion items. The very first one, these are pretty much just placeholders for the new forms that we have right now for my apps and my forms. I wanted to make a note, though. I've had a couple people asking me about the My Forms cutoff date. We do not have a specific target date in mind. We have discussed somewhere around the end of June of 2020. We can be flexible. We understand that things do happen, budgets and stuff like that. So we do, just wanted to make sure that you guys realize that we're not just one day going to just cut it off and you guys not know about it. We're going to give everybody plenty of time to switch over to the My Apps solution. That being said, the mobile part, we have entered the QA stage, quality assurance stage, for the on-site forms. Those are expected to be available on January 6th, so basically at the end of this release. And it looks like we are on target for that.
This is Tony with Adams County.
Hey, Tony.
Any chance you can email out how to get set up with my apps?
Yeah. Let me see. Shelly, are you on the call? Yeah. I'll have Shelly send you that information.
Thank you.
All right. The next discussion item is the public portal.
Hey, Trevor?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question. This is Carrie. Do we find the sewage and water forms the same way we do the food form on my apps?
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be like data entry screens. And then, of course, you can print off or email at the end of it, and it'll look like the forms that we've had.
We don't have to download another app or another thing. It's all under the My Forms app that we currently have.
It's under the My Apps. Carrie, which one are you running? Are you running the older stuff or the new stuff that runs on iPads?
Well, we are still demoing and trying out. We only have the My Apps on one computer right now.
Okay.
And I'm having everybody go through it to see if there's any issues or concerns. So hopefully when we update that, it has all of your changes and tweaks that you've done over the last year.
Yeah, it will. John, do we want to have some sort of webinar just to go over those forms once they're ready to go?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
I would set something up for, well, actually what you might want to do is maybe just tack some time on to the end of the January Change Control Board call.
Okay.
That way everybody doesn't have to block off another date and time.
Okay. And just if you guys didn't see that, the next call would be on the 21st. That will be after the forms are out, but like John said, that would be a good time for me to demo that stuff.
Not only that, but I wanted to add too that the forms are going to be available on the 6th, and I would imagine at least most of you, if not all of you, would want to probably take a look at them and work through them a little bit on the demo server, like we did with the food forms in My Apps, where you had time to kind of go through it, get used to it before you start using it live in the field. So once after the 6th, if you want to have access to it when you contact Shelly for that, just make sure that you point out that you want to just do it in a test environment on demo. And we can let that go for, a few weeks or so.
Yeah, that sounds good. Anybody have any questions on that?
No, just want to clarify for anybody that isn't aware, the sewage and water forms will be like our current forms. The other forms are still in the works.
Yes. If I understand, you're asking, will the My Apps have the sewage forms that look like your current forms?
I guess I was confirming that that was my understanding because we haven't completed the new versions of those yet.
Yes.
So
I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. So they're going to look like what you guys currently are using whenever they're printed off. At the end of this agenda, we normally go through the on-site stuff. We are actually, and I was going to get to this in a little bit, but go ahead and address it now. We're going to pull the on-site stuff off of this agenda and in January have a separate on-site meeting. We want to revamp the way the on-site stuff works. We'd like everyone's input on that. And we feel that it would be just better to have its own separate meeting. I believe we used to do that a long time ago. And it was a little bit more productive when we went that route. So we're going to try that again. And we don't have a specific date set up so far. John and I are going to work that out right after the holidays. So
Well, I think it would also make sense to let, don't conflict that with the new mobile app being ready, give people a chance to take a look at that there too. So we're not trying to fix everything all at one time. But I think what we decided on that last, just as a reminder to everybody, what we decided on that last OS septic and wells calls was that we needed to review the actual business process of it first. We'll go back to almost back to the drawing board, so to speak, so that, because we said that we could go into the web app and IMS and start hiding panels and everything, but that'll accomplish a little, but it doesn't really get the main issue of, when you go out to do a septic, inspect the septic installation or issue a permit, what information is needed, what information is additional, and that seems to vary from county to county. So what we'd like to do is try to come up with a way where the pages are more intuitive based on, say, like what type of system you're doing, because not all systems are used in each of the different counties, and just make sure we have the business flow correct and then work it from there. I think that would make a lot more sense, and get that part of IMS, and then the mobile would follow suit. Just get it to be, it's to get it to where you guys need it to be. So, but we, like Trevor said, we will need your input on that. So if we, we're really encouraging participation on those septic and well calls, see if we can get that worked out.
Right. All right. So Carrie, hopefully that answers your question, or at least verifies it.
Yeah, I just didn't want others to not understand, and I guess I was just confirming that I was understanding correctly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The next discussion item is the public application payment portal. That's our public portal that we're in development right now. A lot of it has been the behind the scenes and the security aspect of it. We discussed last week ramping up the development efforts for this. We have a target date of April 1st to release our first version. I could probably send out a notice. I don't believe we've identified all of the features that we're adding to it just yet. I can get with John and the team and identify those so that you guys can know what to expect before that happens. But if you guys have suggestions, we definitely want to hear from you guys. If we can't make it into this current version, then it'll be in version 1.1.
If we've already sent suggestions, do you want them sent again?
No, we have those.
Yeah, I think we have a spreadsheet for that.
Thank you.
Specifically the stuff that you've sent us. So, all right. So the next one, this one has to do with the PPF&C items. Basically, being added or being available. The last meeting we discussed in mobile having a button right here. I know that's a small image right there. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit without messing. It's still not very legible. But basically having a button right here to add additional comments. It seemed that everybody agreed with that. There was no objection. So we will go ahead and put that on our next discussion next week. Well, probably the week after that. And look to see when we can add this feature in. Maybe it can be a January release. I believe that is probably doable. It's a little bit smaller.
Is that going to be available on both my forms and my apps, or just my apps?
It's going to be available on both. That's what we had discussed. Just for the My Apps. I'm sorry, you said My Forms? No, just on My Apps.
Just on my apps.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were referring to IMS for a minute there.
Thank you.
Make that a different color. Okay. The next item, adding a flag for the number of days for the first routine opening license inspection must be completed. We do have a work item for that. It has been pushed back to January since we consider this a priority 2 item, but we will address that in the next release.
Trevor, I think we need to talk about that one though a little bit though, because we had some questions about as far as identifying the opening date on establishments. We need to make sure that we had that covered.
I thought we had.
I mean, we have an opening date on the establishment,
Right.
but not everybody is updating that. So, you know, we can do this here. This is not a hard thing to do. However, it's all going to be predicated on the opening date on the establishment being updated. So there's a couple ways you can update that. You can update it through just doing an edit on an establishment, or when you create a new establishment, put what their opening date's going to be. Or and what we discussed was one option was to, and this would be each county's option, to have that opening date on a new establishment be required. So if you want to turn that on, then that makes us very easy to do. And the other way we could capture that would be to, if you guys wanted to enter that on an inspection entry. So say, I would imagine most of you go out for a pre-opening. Would that be correct to assume that?
John, it all depends on what the terminology is, because we all use different terminology for an inspection to allow an establishment to open. So for some, a pre-opening would be just a site visit during the construction process, but somewhere along the line, an inspection has to be done to issue a permit to the establishment so that they can operate. And then there's an operational inspection after that inspection that initiates the permit.
Okay, and that's where this comes into play. Wouldn't that be correct, Tom? That so you go out to your first operational inspection would be that first routine after the opening, correct? And you want that to be done within so many days?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that just for your county though, or does everyone else operate similar?
That's statewide.
Okay.
the 30-day operational maybe, but not everybody can. Which report is this going to be for?
Well, this is going to be so that we can put alerts on, like the pending inspection calendar, that would indicate that the first, and I don't know if we talked about a report per se, but definitely on the inspection pending calendar, it would highlight, we'd be able to highlight those that have to have their first routine done, that they're now operational. Once we get the process established, we could do other things with it too. I mean, if we could scan the establishment file, and if we know one's coming up, we could have emails automatically generated. Now, I'm talking about once this particular work item is implemented and it's in place, you know, we could have the email sent out to whichever inspectors assigned to it to remind them. But definitely that we could either do a crystal or a splash report that would show a listing of establishments that need their first routine done, say in the next 2 weeks or the next 30 days or whatever.
So that would be 30 days from that permit inspection or the opening inspection or whatever each county calls it.
Yeah, so we would have to, then each county would have to tell us, what do you call that pre-opening or opening inspection before the first operational one? What we would need a separate, either have to have a separate inspection type for it, or put a flag on the inspection record that says this is we're doing this, consider this to be the pre-operational one. And then 30 days from there would have to be the first routine, the first operational one.
John, I think our rules would be similar to our report 9B for Peoria's.
Take a look at that real quick.
But I don't know if that would cover everyone else, because we have a couple different final inspections that we use, and that's what starts the clock, if you will, on the various types of inspections, or the routines, I should say.
Okay.
John, do you want me to make you presenter to show that?
Yeah, that's fine.
So everyone's on the same page.
Hey, Carrie, while I'm thinking of it, not to change the subject, but on the reporting, you submitted that ticket for that report 51.
Uh-huh.
You had your parameters reversed.
Huh. Okay, I'll have to look at that.
All right, so this is the report that Carrie is referring to. So, Carrie, this sounds more like it'd be almost like in North Carolina, there's a statewide report called a missing inspection report. This one here, this is not, is this limited to just those that have just opened?
No. But the very first rule is what triggers it to start with the 30-day. And it's based off of the couple types of final inspections that we have.
Okay, now this here, when you say in this description here, the final inspection, is that the final one before they open?
Yeah, well, that's some permission.
Okay.
And Adams County would be doing 30 days from any final inspection or licensure inspection, regardless of the category.
Okay. All right, here's the way I think we should handle this, is I'll go through each county's inspection types and see if we can identify like what Peoria is referring to here as the final inspection, and then go, using Tom's explanation, I'll identify it for each county. We'll send that documentation out to each of you, and then let you guys confirm that we have it correct, or if not, let us know what it should be. And then once we have that, then we can build the rules for that inside there, so that then we can get that first operational inspection warning notices and that report ready. So Trevor, I'll go through that, and I'll try to get that information to you by I was going to say next week. Next week's the holidays. I'll try to get to you by the end of next week, defined for everybody.
Okay. I'm going to just make a note inside that work item. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay. And I'll add that to planning the next time I'm in. All right. The next one is alert and print flags on the comments. This is something that we have discussed. It's on our items to discuss in our next planning session. Did we want to make this a priority, or are you guys okay with this being on, priority 2 versus a 1? Or John, do you have any input on that? We've been pushing this one back.
Which one, Trevor? I was taking a screenshot of what I had up
That's
there.
on the alert and print flags on the comments. So if there's a comment, when they have when they hit that checkbox for the alert, it pops up whenever they're inside of the.
Yeah. What we're going to do, we just want to expand on the usage of that. So to get it to appear in more spots.
Right.
If anybody has some specific areas, pages in the web system or something, or even if it's a suggestion for where it should come up in mobile, send it to us and let us know. Otherwise, we'll just go through with what, we'll add them to where we think they would be appropriate. And I think the way we'll do that is we'll do that so that option can be turned on and off too.
Okay. All right, that goes to discussion item G, which is is anyone interested in having the inspection forms printable in another language? I'm just going to make this like a placeholder on here until after all the on-site forms are released. We need to, as a team, research this. We have discussed it briefly. But after discussing it, we realized that we need to put a little bit more research into this to see how we can make that happen. So potentially January, February, somewhere around there, we can do a little bit more research and hopefully have it out by the third or fourth quarter if it is available. The next one, item H, is the Report 28 issue. This was completed, and it's actually sitting in completed right now, but it's scheduled to be released at the end of this month, which is January 6th. So that's when it will be available. And that is it for the food and lodging side. Do you guys have anything you guys want to talk about, bring up, discuss?
Remind me what Report 28 is.
And please don't mess with mine.
Give me 1 minute.
Yours was the first one we were going to mess with.
And you might have Tom Feltenberger and I coming with our hatchets for you guys.
Let's see.
Or Tim, not Tom. Jeez.
We call him Tom too.
We call Tim a lot of things. His last name is usually the one that gets butchered, though. Not his first name.
It's all Illinois right there. The reports. We didn't say which report that was, did we? Maybe.
Oh, that was the performance indicators one, right?
Yeah, 28's the biggie.
Going to make the pre-inspection and whatnot more accurate, so we didn't have to add 2 lines together to get them.
Correct.
I'm okay with that as long as you don't mess up my parameters.
And make a note of that. Do not mess up her parameters. Okay. All right, so do you guys have anything else you want to bring up? Food and lodging wise? All right. Well, that goes to the end of the food and lodging side of things. I did have some notes here that we're moving this one. We discussed this a little bit earlier. I did want to point out I added this to the on-site part of it. John and I were discussing this morning, and it just doesn't seem feasible to mock up any kind of forms until we get input from you guys on these workflow processes and stuff like that. So I went ahead and crossed this off. I'll be taking all of this stuff off and creating a new document just for the on-site piece. And once we have a date, we'll push that out and start back up again. Anyone have anything else? I guess we're done then. I appreciate it, guys.
Well, everybody have a great holiday, and I guess we'll talk to you guys after the first of the year.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Stay safe. Happy holidays.
All right.
Thanks, guys.